Welcome to another episode of Systematic Geekology. This is a space where we seek to create and cultivate healthy conversations between those things we geek out on and the philosophical and theological questions that often arise out of our fandoms. Like, what does it mean to be human? What makes a hero? What makes a villain? How do the stories and narratives we geek out on shape how we live in the world? We are your priest to the geeks. We aren't all ordained, but we see ourselves as mediators at the intersection of geek culture and going deeper in our faith. We don't always have to agree, but we do respect each other, and we see everyone as a beloved child of God. Everyone geeks out on something, so come geek out with us and enjoy the show.
You're listening to an Anazal Ministries podcast.
To boldly go where no man has gone before. That's what we're doing today. We're going to be discussing what systematic geekology would be if we were on the Enterprise. Or I guess we could crew any Starfleet ship, but the Enterprise is the one people know, so that's what we're talking about. I am here today with the gorgeous and just so wise Justin Coleman, and equally attractive Tom Selleck impersonator Herbie. I don't know Herbie's last name.
It's fine. You don't need to use my last name.
Herbie Selleck. And that's what we're talking about today. I'm host one today. That's TJ Blackwell. We're going to be talking about systematic geekology, crewing the Enterprise. And so if you are on a laptop, please consider rating and reviewing the show on Podchaser or Good Pods. It'll help our show gain recognition. We're trying to trick the algorithm, that kind of thing. I would like to thank one of our supporters from Patreon, Ethan Overcash. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot. If you do want to get shouted out, you can support our show for $3 a month on, Apple Podcasts, Captivate, Patreon, any of those three. Super convenient. You can do like one-time payments, whatever. If you just really want to shout out, DM me on an Instagram. I'll just do it for free. But with that being said, I think it's time to get started. So let me ask y'all real quick. What's y'all's history with Star Trek? Let's go, Justin. Where does it start for you?
So it started for me as a child. I still remember the first time when my elder brothers turned on an episode of the original series. This was already in syndication at the time, and I thought, this is great. And so when Next Generation was set to come out, oh my goodness, I could not wait. And I truly fell in love with Star Trek with the Next Generation, and I've been a fan ever since.
Yeah, it's these kind of properties to me are crazy because it's something that like my dad watched when he was my age. Now it's just different. What about you, Herbie?
See, I grew up with the Next Generation. Being a '90s kid and all, that's kind of where you're gonna start. I loved the Next Generation growing up. I didn't care as much for the original series growing up. I think my view on that in adulthood is completely reversed. Mostly in reaction to that, I realized how much of an atheistic viewpoint comes from the Next Generation. And they did a much better job with it in the original series. I also came to love Deep Space Nine, but I definitely think my favorite is Enterprise. Yeah.
For me, it was one of those things like just as a kid hanging out with my dad in the living room. We didn't have cable. That was for the rich people. So we had what was called MeTV, one of the channels, and at night they would just play old shows for people, and Star Trek The Original Generation came on every night at like 7, so we would just watch that. And since then I've been kind of like in passing, like, oh yeah, let me binge Star Trek for a minute, get back on it, let me watch a little bit of the new Next Generation, give up, and go back to watching the original.
Give you an idea of how influential the Next Generation was. Next Generation became a tagline for new technology. Like you have, I don't know if you've heard of in the networking world, RIP, which is a routing protocol. When they updated it, they called it RIP NG for next generation. Even now, we're coming out with new generations of firewall technology. They're calling it next generation firewalls. It's that influential.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize like things become so common that just started on Star Trek. Like Star Trek actually just had a massive influence in like the behind the scenes of the tech world. It's crazy. I wish someone would like go really deep into it and just explain all of it. But that's what it means to us. We're going to do this today just because we thought it'd be kind of fun to like assign everyone to a role on a Starfleet ship, you know. Maybe not the Enterprise specifically, because maybe we're not the main characters, but that's just something we have to deal with. Do you think, for someone who hasn't seen Star Trek, if you exist, Justin, how would you explain Star Trek to somebody?
Ooh. Star Trek exists in a time in the future from our present when the Earth has joined together with civilizations from across the galaxy, different groups that have joined together in a federation of planets. And this federation of planets has a certain military side to it. You've got vessels that have a rank and structure like military. But Starfleet's main objective is exploration, to explore strange new worlds, seek out new life and new civilizations to boldly go where no man or no one has gone before, right? And so in this Star Trek time period, what's been stripped away from humanity, at least, is things like the need to earn money. Capitalism as we know it has gone away because there's been this evolved sense, and people can create food and other kinds of clothing and other needs instantaneously through these devices that generate this stuff out of the air. And so with all of this, with the kind of competition and monetary competition that drives our world being taken away, people can focus on truly being together, being in some ways enlightened. Now, this is challenged in some of the shows moving forward, but also to come together and to pursue goals and ideals that are larger, like this kind of exploration and reaching out to new people and new civilizations. So that's what Star Trek is about. Along the way in the show, it does critique, because they seek to be an enlightened people, they critique some of the social and political challenges that we see today. And the goal of the show by the originator, Gene Roddenberry, really was to help move us forward into this more idealistic vision of the human future.
Yeah, and Star Trek, it did so much of that actually, like in the realm of entertainment. Like there were so many things that Star Trek was the first to do. It's really amazing when you look at it, and it's not like it was just a show. Like they didn't set out to change the world, and they ended up doing it anyway. It's really something else. If you've never been into it before, you should definitely check it out. But I think it's time that we get on to what we're doing today. So we have, I want to say, 14 hosts. We are assigning the 14 of us to Starfleet positions. Now, the Starfleet like ranking and assignment structure can be a little complicated if you're just trying to watch the show. They don't really make it super clear, like what's going on most of the time. Sometimes there would be a little exposition about what the ranks mean, but we're going to do our best. So I think the best way is just going to be for us to go. We do have a list, straight down the list, and try and assign people to at least a division. I think the best we can do is get everybody at least assigned to command or engineering or, science corps or, what's the third one called? I feel dumb.
Security, science, and
engineering. Command,
medical
engineering,
too.
and science. And then we have medical officer, security officer. So there's a lot of positions and 3 divisions.
Would
and
it
then
help
Mako.
if I ran through a few of the positions just to shape our imaginations?
Yeah, go.
As you said, the structure of the bridge crew, and we're mostly going to be focused on the bridge crew, and then some officers who are outside of the bridge crew. There is some fluctuation from generation to generation. The Star Trek universe spans, few hundred years, and so when you take all of the Star Trek properties together, so there's some fluctuation here and there. But you usually have a commanding officer, usually the captain of the ship, a first officer, a second officer, a third officer, and then you have some combination of communications, sometimes a con position, operations, science, tactical, a helmsman, and a navigator. Sometimes those kind of go back and forth, medical, and then engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the ones that you see most frequently when you look at original series, Next Generation, Voyager, and then some of the newer shows as well.
Yeah. All right. So you want to just get into it? Where are we going to put Josh on the Enterprise? I think there might be an easy call here. Since he does kind of assume the role already. But I don't know, maybe not. I think Josh would make a good captain. I don't know. I've known Josh for a long time. I might be a little biased. I've only known him for like 16 years, so maybe not. But I don't know. I think we can have multiple captains. We'll just have to split it up between generations. We'll have, original gen and next gen for systematic geekology.
I mean, do we all have to be on the same ship?
That's what I was going to say, Herbie. I think we'd be in multiple ships.
No, we're all captains. Episode over.
And that's another thing to bring up is most on every series, it generally follows like a different ship or something entirely different, like Deep Space Nine, where it was a trading platform, essentially.
Right.
Yeah. Deep Space Nine is, I really need to get into it. I never got into it. Like, I never just sat down. I was like, I should watch Deep Space Nine. But I've only heard good things. So maybe I'll do that just for you, Herbie. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and say Josh can be a captain on one of these ships. Maybe we'll go back and name the ships later.
Well, and I think it might actually be fun even to say, because people usually were in different roles across their career. So Josh has certainly become our captain. He really helps to guide the way. I also think that Josh, along his journey to be captain, might have really had fun being an operations officer. Now, sometimes operations folks deal in science and engineering. I mean, it kind of depends on their role. And so, but I could totally see Josh working in operations and really getting into some of the science. Of it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Josh currently spends so much time looking at like the details of things and getting into like, how am I going to make this work? How's this going to happen? He's basically our logistics officer as it is.
Yeah.
Didn't Spock actually have the role of chief science officer?
He did.
Yeah, he was both. Yeah, he was second officer
Second in
and
command.
chief science.
But science officer, that's exactly right.
Yeah, and that's another thing that makes this kind of hard is that a lot of, our positions, they were multifaceted. They were doing a couple of things. But I think good call, ops / captain for Josh. We'll let Josh lead the ship sometimes. And then Will. I don't know how well you guys know Will. Will is great. Will is just such a joy to be around. I don't know if there's anyone on Star Trek that gives me the same vibe that Will does. I would let Will do anything.
Okay, I've got a fun one for Will. I don't know. Will. Will and I live in the same town. He's another pastor in town, and so I see him in the captain role all the time. He loves science, and so certainly he would enjoy being a science officer. But, and I hadn't thought about this until just this very moment, when you think about Star Trek The Next Generation and 10 Forward and Guinan, so this is a role I hadn't thought of assigning, Will would be an amazing bartender for the ship.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's all day. Easily. Oh, yeah, he destroys it. That's our Lutheran, That's the one. Man, I didn't even know that was an option.
I didn't think about it till now, but it would be so much fun to see him.
Yeah, this is why we pay you the big bucks. Yeah, so let's go. I'm going to skip me. I'm next on our list. I'm going to skip me. I got jettisoned for now.
Hey guys, Christian here to talk about our Captivate options. That's when you send us a little extra money to just help us along with our project. But what do you get by giving us that extra money? Well, you have access to any future online D&D campaigns. You get extra bonus question content, which we do at least 48 times a month. You can make a one-time donation here of any amount to help support the show. This helps us with our overhead. That includes the editing software that we use, the recording software that we use, the marketing that we have to do for the show, the equipment that we all need to use to help out with the show, and more. So thank you for what you do. Head out to Captivate, help us out. We really appreciate what you do. See you later.
We're going to do Christian Ashley. You know him, you love him. Possibly the most heard voice on the show. He is always doing something. And Herbie, you happen to live pretty close to Christian most of the time.
Like 5 doors down.
It's a little closer than I am for now. Herbie, where do you think Christian falls into a crew?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that before getting ready for this, and I'm not really sure. He could probably make a good second officer.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Christian could just do anything.
Yeah, wow. I think that second officer works. So when you think about second officer, you got Data and Tuvok and all these folks who operate in that position. Again, people who sometimes have different specialties, but I think he could do that role really well. Even when you think about first officer as someone who can look at the captain and say, hey, I've got an alternative point of view, and I'm going to go toe to toe, be respectful about it, but I'm going to give you my point of view.
It would definitely be a good executive officer. He definitely would be the person to look at the order of how things are supposed to be and expect the people below him to follow the commands as given.
Oh, yeah. I'll skip one. Christian is Spock material for sure. He can step up to any role you give him. He really is just a champion. And I don't see how he does what he does while being in school like he is. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And consuming all the media he does. He's a monster. Have you ever seen him sleep? Does he ever sleep?
It's only rumored that he does. Only rumored.
I have only seen him after he's just woken up.
Allegedly woken up. I think he figured out something.
He'll probably make the same claims about me. And there are rumors that I never sleep, so.
I used to get those for sure. My trick was just 3 hours at a time. It's really easy to hide for 3 hours.
For me, I literally will go 2 or 3 days without sleep at the time.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I was like that not too long ago, just as a habit. I was like, work once, have a nice little 10 hours between shifts, go back to work, then I'll sleep.
You're putting yourselves in the Lieutenant Commander Data category of elective sleep.
Yeah, it's just fun sometimes, as it's change of pace for me. Yeah, we think Christian executive officer, that's solid. That's a lock. if we have to have another executive officer, they'll go to a different ship.
That's right.
So Pang, I don't know how much y'all have talked to Pang. I love Pang. She's been around since the beginning, and she's just really fun. Big anime fan, professional chef, marketeer. She's really almost as impressive as Christian. Just less time for us because she hates us all secretly. I hope she is listening to this. But Pang would be an amazing navigations officer. So much of her time is spent like planning out, where she has to be, where her husband has to be, how they're going to get where they're going, how they're going to make the plans to, money's not really a thing in Star Trek anymore. That is another thing she's fantastic with. It just doesn't apply here. So I'm going to go.
Your description of her makes me think of Neelix from Voyager.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had many hats, but he was the cook. He was also like somewhat of a politician. He was chief morale officer.
Yes.
Yeah, Peng could definitely be a chief morale officer. She's just, next time there's a Sys Geek event, we all got to go and you got to like experience that. She brings the same kind of energy that Will does, but with hair. So it's a little different. So for Kevin, where are we putting Kevin? Kevin's a hard one.
You've got here that he is a film guru, and so he's reminding me of Voyager and the pilot. His name, Tom.
Tom Paris. Mm-hmm.
Tom Paris.
Yeah, I can see it. He could definitely be a pilot. All right.
That's a good one.
Andy. I'm just going to say Andy's chief scientist on some ship. Andy is the chief science officer. That is his literal job title. Currently, is chief science officer. I feel like we can move on.
Agreed. Nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, it does not get any easier than that. He is a biology professor. He's the chief science officer in the department. Yeah, he's also an author. So we'll probably put a link to his book in the comments below, or in the show notes if you want to check that out. And he's a really great guy. If you haven't listened to any of his shows, you really should. James. Now, for the hosts here who have the email, you'll see that James is listed as elusive to contact. This is true. It's very hard to get a hold of James. I love James. He's super fun. He's super passionate, and he's super busy. But I want to say it would be like in a Mako division, like on the Enterprise. Like he's out there to scout stuff
Your
out.
description here reminds me of a Voyager character, an obscure character. I think he came up in 1 or 2 episodes. He didn't exactly sign up to be on Voyager. He was an astronomist who had to get field experience, and he just happened to be assigned to Voyager when they got launched across the galaxy. But he preferred to be in his own book, doing his own studies and furthering his own academic career, just waiting to get back home. I cannot remember this guy's name.
Yeah, that's so relatable, though. You're just an astronomist, and you're suddenly on the other side of the galaxy. It's like, yeah, y'all worry about that. I'm gonna write my thesis about this. It's like, I have work to do.
That's basically the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely something science related in there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're going to attach.
I don't know this guy very well, so I can just say what you're making me think of in your description.
I think he could be a good yeoman. I think he could. That's kind of the role I see him play with Will a lot, is learning, absorbing from Will, because there's not a lot of people better to do it for, honestly. So that's where I would put him personally. Command division, yeoman. He's learning the ropes. He's ready to assume that mantle one day. So next is Justin, and I am interested to hear where you would put yourself.
No, we can't do it like that. Where I would put myself? Wow. No. You guys have got to put me someplace. I can't put myself someplace.
All right. We'll try. So let's see, Justin. I feel like I wish there was an officer whose main role was just communicating with communications officer, but that's not quite what I'm talking about. I mean, with strange forces. But I guess that would still be the communications officer. I'm thinking communications officer.
All right, I get to talk.
I feel like you're very, very friendly, very charismatic guy. You're ready to get out there, get yourself out there. I don't know.
Now, if I can throw a crazy idea out here, I also get some Quark vibes.
Mm-hmm. I see it.
I mean, high levels of charisma. Just there's some vibes there. I don't want to throw you down as a Quark, but I could see you being like somebody working on a Deep Space Nine assignment and having to keep a cheerful level as a whole bunch of conflicting cultures are coming together in one place.
I can see it.
I like that kind of internal ambassador thing. There we go.
Yeah. Domestic ambassador.
Domestic ambassador.
Yeah. So we're going to get John. John has not been on a whole lot of episodes. John's a great guy. Super fun to talk to and to be around. John, I feel like, could be in one of those like pivotal offshoots in engineering where, like, you know, he's not the main focus of the episode, but without him, you're gonna pay for it. Ooh. You know, I assume y'all haven't gotten to be with John a lot, but that's where I'm putting him, somewhere in engineering.
Yeah.
Doing something that is vital, but not in the front.
That's solid.
And Barbara, John's wife, you know, they're kind of two sides of the same coin. And I think it'd be really fun to have our engineering corps be John and Barbara kind of doing their own thing, keeping the ship, you know, stable and functional while everyone else does whatever. So I think that's a great spot for them personally. And then Herbie.
Herbie.
What are we going to do with you?
There is a part of me that I don't exactly have a great reason for this, but part of me wants you to be our tactical officer.
It's the mustache. It's the mustache. Y'all can't see it. Trust me. It's the 80s like Maverick mustache he's got going on right now.
And not only can they not see it, they can't go back to prior episodes because I had a full beard the last time I was on camera.
You missed your chance. We failed you a little bit.
On Twitch the next time I stream.
Yeah. So you better pay attention. Turn on those notifications.
Because I kind of want you thinking through the scenarios and being able to if we need to fire, but also to give good counsel when you think that's not the way to go. So you be very clear-minded about this. And the tactical officer usually gets to be security as well.
But also the tactical officer, you need somebody who, even if they think they think the order is the wrong thing, they still have to be somebody you trust to do something, even if they disagree with it.
Yeah. You feel comfortable in that role? You're going to sign that contract?
Maybe. We'll see.
So what else would you think was fun to do? What else would you think would be fun to do, Herbie?
Honestly, anything on the engineering side would be a lot of fun.
All right.
I love doing the stuff that's behind the scenes that nobody even has any idea of what's going on until something breaks.
Yeah.
All right.
I do think it would be really funny, just like as an engineering department, to like get clearance to go like print this part. You bring it to the captain. He's like, "Yeah, I don't know what that is." Sure.
So I'm going to shift here because the mustache initially was giving me the chief tactical, chief security, but maybe what it's doing here after you talk, Herbie, maybe it's giving me the Scotty vibe. Scotty, chief engineer. Let's do this.
The guy he's gonna quote you at 3 times the amount of time it's gonna take it to get done, so that he can be a miracle worker and get it done in the actual amount of time.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's my favorite bit.
I love it.
My favorite, I don't know, I guess it's a parody of Star Trek. And now I can't even remember what show. It was some adult animation show. It was either Family Guy or like Robot Chicken, which is crazy that I don't remember if it was in like the Robot Chicken style. But it's like, I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. I'm actually not. There's like 4 more levers right here. We can go like 6 times this speed. Yeah, sorry. We've been in so many situations. I could just.
I also remember a time in The Next Generation, he is hanging out with LaForge in the Enterprise, and LaForge gives an honest answer for a quote on how long it's going to take to do a diagnostic. And he's like, you should tell him it's 3 or 4 times as long. And then you look so much better when you get it done on time. And LaForge is like, why would I do that? He trusts the time I give him. I don't need to pad my numbers.
It's true. I do. I absolutely. I do that, though. I do that at work. I really do.
I also remember the time where Scotty and Data were at the bar on the Enterprise. What is it?
10 forward.
10 forward. And he's drank all the alcohol and he refuses synthale. and Data brings out this bottle of liquor and he's like, I don't know what this is, but you're welcome to. And he's like, well, what is it? He's like, it's blue.
That would sell me. That would sell me, honestly.
All right. We've got our chief engineer. That's awesome. I love it.
All right. So we've got Evan. Evan is new, just as new as Herbie. You guys are the 2 new guys on the scene. We got you placed. I wish Evan was here so he could, give his own input on himself. But to me so far, and this I'm sure will develop because we haven't gotten to spend a whole lot of time with him. Evan's giving kind of that, on the bridge, but not really causing a problem. Evan is, to me, the face of quiet competence. I'm just not sure what role he is in.
Oh, so maybe a navigator, helmsman kind of position.
Yeah, I think maybe a helmsman. You're not getting any problems out of him until you do. But generally, you just trust your helmsman. He's got it. I can sit in my nice chair and let Evan do all the work. So, then we have Matthew. Matthew is leaving the show. I'm not sure if this is the first time we've said that on air. If it is, I am very sad to report that Matthew will be leaving the show to go on a little bit of a self-discovery kind of arc for him. Things are changing. He's going to learn some stuff about himself. So, Matthew, I wish Star Trek had been a slightly different show because the perfect role for Matthew would have been mech pilot. If they had had combat mechs in Star Trek and it was that kind of sci-fi, that would have been perfect for him. Unfortunately, that is not the world that they live in. That might still be the world we end up in when we're in the 2260s, but we'll just have to see. Being said, Matthew, to me, he does kind of read also engineering or a science course somewhere working under Andy, because he brings that kind of excitement to learn and to get something done, find out a new way to do something that I think would be
in Star Trek
important.
there were definitely specialty pilots who would fly special types of shuttlecraft or mining rigs that were to do very specific things that you could maybe wedge in towards like a one of those mech type devices.
Yeah, we got our hotshot mining rig pilot, Matthew. Yeah, we'll use him once every like 30 episodes, and it's going to be a great episode.
Right.
Still more often than the saucer separations.
You're right.
Yeah.
But now Matthew is going to travel with the Traveler in this place of new discovery. So you'll be joining Wesley Crusher there.
Yeah. So I did save myself for last. That is mostly just because I'm not sure. I really don't know. There's not a position on a ship that I think I would have a bad time in. At least enjoyment wise. Skill set wise, might be a very different question. I might not be able to do anything.
Would you feel comfortable being a instructor at the academy?
That would be cool, but no. No. I have to go to space. If I'm in the 2200s and everyone is going to space, I'm going to space.
They still had training ships. They still had to do their training voyages.
Maybe.
You'd go to space eventually.
Eventually. I better. I don't know. I'd be comfortable in the academy maybe after a stint on a ship. I'll get my fill. But I do feel pretty comfortable in that kind of scenario training. That's most of what I do at work. Just because no one wants to stay at work. But that is something I would do. Professor, Starfleet professor. Something like that. Do a little expedition every once in a while. Tag along to refresh myself. Have a guest appearance every once in a while. I'd be completely okay with that.
So we do have one host who is going to be joining the show soon. And her name's Laura. I think I'm the only one who really knows Laura. Laura could be a number of things. I think that Laura would really enjoy being in the science division. Certainly loves learning and exploration. The science division also, within it, you also have medical. We haven't assigned anybody as our chief medical officer. And
let's just not get hurt then.
I could okay. I could probably do chief medical. That is something I'm pretty comfortable with.
See, there you go.
I've taken more than enough anatomy courses to at least know what not to do.
You're a field medic.
Field medic. I can do that easily.
So we could have a medical team going, because I think, Laura could do science, medical, just great personality, really insightful of your, and especially if it's that medical like Bones was, like really in the action, helping to make decisions, being the moral compass of the place. Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. I've gotten to talk to Laura a couple of times. I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Bones, man, what a show though.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bones. Doesn't get enough respect, I think.
Yes.
I do think that he was talking more about McCoy, who had the nickname Bones.
Nope, we're talking about Bones Forensic Lab now.
No, but that's cool too. But yes, I was talking about McCoy.
Nope.
Yes.
Shout out to Bones.
Just rewatched Wrath of Khan last night with some friends, and it is so interesting seeing how Bones is the one guy who stands up to Kirk and is like, "Can you shut up with us already? You're getting old. Nobody cares."
Man,
so good.
That's what we should really do. We should get on the Systematic Geekology Discord and have movie night every once in a while. That's what we should do.
So out of curiosity, we've talked about the different roles, and we've commented as though we're all on the Enterprise, but I feel like we're more of a Cerritos situation.
I was thinking the same thing.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I was kind of thinking that when we pitched the idea. I was like, oh, I don't know if we're really an Enterprise kind of group.
But we could also, if we banded together, really do a Titan type of situation. Under the command of Riker.
Oh my gosh. So maybe we do in the future, maybe we could move to different ships and say, on this ship, where do you want to be? Or who would you be? Because in so much of the life of this podcast, I mean, we play in the lower decks all the time because it's where the fun is.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, different shows. I might choose different positions.
Yeah. I could see it. There are definitely some ships that I just kind of would not want to be the captain of. Some of those.
Definitely would not want a captain to Defiant. I like having a nice bed.
Yeah.
I'm with you. This is one thing. I'm kind of an Enterprise D. Like, I want the carpet, give me give me that lazy boy chair,
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Give me my recliner captain seat.
Yeah.
I want a patch of carpet on the bridge just for me to sit in.
Maybe another Galaxy class. Maybe not the one that's always in trouble.
That's true.
Maybe a more comfortable position would be ideal. Yeah. I don't want to be the main character, really, of a series. Main characters are the ones that bad stuff happens to.
You want to get captured by the Borg or something like that? Or, okay.
No.
I will say, if I was actually somebody in command like an officer, I would probably be more like Captain Shaw from Picard Season 3, who does things by the book, even when going by the book is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, does things by the book despite the book. I've been that person a time or two.
To be fair, Shaw made the right decisions based off of what was being given to him. He was protective of a ship and protective of Starfleet. He was just acting without all of the information.
Can't fault him. Can't fault him for that.
Like, he would, in any other circumstances, he was an amazing captain. He just was put in a situation where being a good captain makes you really fumble the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to see it. So, we're going to go ahead. We're going to start wrapping this up. I am going to ask an extra question to you guys later. That's just for our bonus supporters. But I'm actually going to ask you which ship you'd most like to be on. But if you want the answer, you're going to have to support us on Patreon, Captivate Apple Podcasts, anything like that. Cash at me $1. I'll send it to you. As far as other Systematic Geekology goes, do y'all have a recommendation for our audience today? Is there like a specific piece of Star Trek media actually that you think somebody should check out if they haven't? I know what I'm going to watch Deep Space Nine. Because I've clearly missed out. And, until it comes to things like this, the most I've gotten out of Deep Space Nine is, I don't know if y'all have ever played the card game Killer Bunnies. Great game. There's Deep Space Nine bunnies in there. That was it for me.
I would say you should watch Enterprise. It is kind of the black sheep of the entire franchise, and I guess I kind of have a heart for the black sheep franchises, but I always enjoyed Enterprise. It needed a little bit longer to really finish up its story run, but it explores parts of Starfleet history and the parts of Starfleet that don't get explored in other series of the franchise, and it does a lot of development of Starfleet as a whole.
Yeah, I love that kind of thing, that you can do that with Star Trek. It's just like, well, no one has the IP right now. Let's take it. Let's do some stuff. We got plenty of time. We got like hundreds of years to make a series. Let's do it.
I would suggest, if people haven't watched it yet, Strange New Worlds, because I think this is the Star Trek property that is going to propel us, that's going to keep the franchise going. And it is really good Star Trek writing, I think, with a relatively balanced set of characters. So I think it's a great Star Trek property to watch if you've not already.
It has the strongest TOS vibes.
Yes, it does.
All right. I will say once again, if you're on a laptop, desktop, rate us. Tell us all of your least favorite things about us. That's what I'm in it for. I thrive off negativity. I would like to thank James Barrett for supporting us. And if you'd like your own shout out, all it takes is a small bribe every month. And that's it. It's pretty much free. I am going to ask, Herbie, what is the most Star Trek sign off you can give our listeners today?
Live long and prosper.
That's it. What else could it be? Live long and prosper. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
If you'd like to support our show on Captivate, feel free to go to captivate.fm and find our show, subscribe. You'll get access to any future online D&D campaigns over there. You'll get an extra bonus question for 4 to 8 times a month. You'll get extra content like that through there. You also get a one-time donation you could make to help support the show right on Captivate. So you don't get anything for the one-time donation, but if you would like to just support the show once, do a quick donation, you can do that through captivate.fm. Our overhead includes editing software, marketing, equipment, recording software, and a whole lot of other stuff. And we really appreciate everybody who can help keep the lights on.
Hello, friends. If you like Systematic Geekology, then there's a host of other podcasts in our network that we think you will like just as much. And so we're part of the Anazal ministry podcast network, and we hope that you can hop over and subscribe with all the podcasts that are on our network. Like, for instance, The Homily, which is, hey, Pastor Will Rose's sermon here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. You have another podcast called The Whole Church Podcast, the OG, the originals, the beginner of it all. Yes, Joshua Noel and TJ working for unity among the church and having great conversations with the wide spectrum of those who are involved in Christian ministry and the church. You have My Seminary Life by Brandon Knight, who's discussing what he's learning in seminary, what's he is learning his theological studies, and bringing to the surface those big things that we're wrestling with and thinking through theologically in the church and beyond. There's the Let Nothing Move You podcast from Christian Ashley, who is walking through the Bible in a very Bible study type fashion and walking through the biblical narrative. You have Dummy for Theology. I don't think Joshua is a dummy, but hey, he's going to lift up theological themes that he's thinking about and wrestling with. And maybe there's not a lot of answers, but there's definitely a lot of great questions out there that he's lifting up with some great theologians across the whole spectrum of Christianity. And then there's the Bible After Hours. Man, if you like to get risky, if you like to get controversial, there's this foul-mouthed preacher who goes through the Bible from a more progressive point of view, challenging the status quo of the modern church. Yeah, you don't want any kids around with that podcast. And then you have the Clydes, one of my favorite couples that I like to listen to. One of the hosts here on Systematic Geekology, Taylor and Elizabeth Clyde, go through weekly discussions and kind of a devotional, conversational method of what's going on in their lives, where they see God moving in their lives, and what God is up to in the world. So those are the podcasts, a part of the AMP network. Subscribe, follow. We hope you can be a part of all that great network with the wonderful podcasts at AMP.